Well, hello, everybody. I hope your afternoon is off to a good start. Welcome to Your Fundraising 411, how to engage your supporters anywhere with virtual run, walk, or ride. Today, we're going to go over a little bit of a welcome to GiveSignup and RunSignup. We're going to talk about the basics of virtual. We're going to talk about how to raise more with a run, walk, or ride. We're going to go over a couple customer success stories. We'll tell you how you can get started for free. And then we are going to have a question and answer section, but unfortunately we will not be able to give autographs today because it is a virtual event. So I'm sorry for anyone who was hoping for that. Well, hello, we are Chris and Elizabeth from GiveSignup. We're here because we want to help nonprofits raise more with free fundraising technology. Elizabeth, sorry, do you want to say hello? I didn't mean to cut you off without a chance to give
You're good.
Okay, great.
Hello, everyone. As Chris pointed out at the beginning, if you have questions as we go along, you can put them in the chat. And I don't know if either of us will be able to get to them during the webinar, but we will have time at the end to address any questions that come up as we go.
Yes, exactly right. So GiveSignup and RunSignup, what are those two things and how do they go together? Well, GiveSignup is built on the technology and business foundations of RunSignup, the wonderful tech startup race registration site where we all work. We use best-in-class technology to elevate nonprofits' revenue generation and supporter engagement. We have purpose-built fundraising technology for nonprofits, which includes event fundraising like ticket events or the virtual races we're going to speak about today, and online giving like donation websites and fundraising campaigns. 9,000 plus nonprofits are using GiveSignup today, which is an incredible number. And I do like this tagline at the end: raise more, save time, easy. I think that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's like the original GiveSignup like branding, like summer 2019, if you were around for that. Which Chris wasn't, but I was.
I wasn't, but I think that's fantastic. We'll bring it back. And now our wonderful partners in marketing and user experience have created this great graph, which really shows you and breaks down the different tools of GiveSignup and RunSignup and where they fit in for your particular needs. So if you're a nonprofit, the tools that are specifically built for you are ticket events that are outside the endurance world, fundraising campaigns, including do-it-yourself and peer-to-peer fundraising, and online donations, including donation forms and websites. Now, for nonprofits and endurance events, we have membership management with memberships, and we also have registrations for runs, walks, and rides. And as for tools that are just for endurance events, we have our race day suite, which includes tools for timers.
I am literally.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say I'm literally like one step away from just putting this as my like email signature. Because
I'm doing the same
graphic is new and it lays it out very clearly for everybody, especially if you are a current RunSignup customer and are trying to figure out what we're talking about when we talk about GiveSignup.
What I love too is right at the bottom where it tells you the clearest question of all, it's one payment account and one login. So you can access all of these tools with your one account, which is a really exciting thing. And yes, we have an all-in-one supporter engagement platform, and you can access data on supporters of all types. If they're people who are just attending your event, people who are donors, people who are doing recurring donation. You can engage supporters with new events, fundraising campaigns, and donation opportunities. You can easily connect to other platforms that your nonprofit uses. If you look to this graph to the right, you can easily connect to Salesforce and Blackboard and Kindful, Bloomerang, Network for Good, just to name a few. As always, your mission is first. You know, you're able to lead with your branding, so it doesn't look like a RunSignup site or a GiveSignup site. It looks like your site.
So we are here to talk today about virtual run, walk, and ride events. So we'll do the basics of virtual. So probably a lot of you have either already experienced or put on your own virtual run, walk, or ride, but if you haven't, that is a race or virtual like walking event or a run that can be finished anywhere. So people can do it on a course that you lay out for them on their own time, or they can do it wherever they are, whether it's geographically close to you or not. And you can, at least on RunSignup, they can do self-reported results through our virtual results features, rather than having an in-person timer. And from what we found over the last year or so of doing virtual events and helping our customers, there's usually a flexible time range for completing these. So as you can see here, most of them are around a month long. 2 weeks to a month is the most common. And then that last 26.6%, that last bullet point points out that some of them give up to about 90 days. And then if you've seen like a virtual challenge or done a virtual challenge, those are sometimes longer. But today we're just talking about races, and those are typically up to a month and a half or so. Virtual participants we found, this is kind of across the board, but virtual participants are different than your in-person participants. This may be less true for nonprofits, because from what I've seen working with nonprofits over the last year or so, your virtual participants might be the same people that would come out to your in-person 5K if you had one before the pandemic. But across the board, 65% of virtual participants are women, and they tend to be a little bit older than your real racer types, who are actually like in it to get a medal or to place in their division to be really fast. So they're people who want to support your mission, and they're people who maybe aren't as comfortable or likely to want to come out to an in-person race for one reason or another. So why virtual in 2021? There are a lot of benefits to either converting an existing event that maybe you held it in 2020 before the pandemic, or you had it virtual last year. But converting an existing event prevents canceling either for a first or second time. It provides an opportunity for people to stay engaged with your mission and your event. So if it's something that you've done for many, many years and you want to be able to keep putting on some kind of experience for everyone, that's really important. It also creates, like I was saying, some continuity and helps preserve your tradition of doing your event every single year. It's also cheaper. We're going to talk about it toward the end of the presentation, but I helped a nonprofit that I used to work for with their first virtual race this month, actually. And they saved so much money on overhead compared to all their in-person events that they've ever done, because they just really only had to pay money for things like swag. They didn't have to worry about hiring a timer in their first year, anything like that. So it was a great first race experience for them. And then also over here, we have reasons why you might want to add to your existing event. So maybe you are going to hold an in-person event, but you want to provide virtual as an option for people who can't be there in person, either because they're not comfortable yet or because they're not in your area. As we point out here, hybrid will be expected for many years to come, just because people are getting used to having experiences kind of at a distance, whether for safety reasons or just because they want to be able to support you from wherever they are, not necessarily travel to you for a 5K or something like that. And then it's also good to just create a new event. So like I was describing with the nonprofit that I helped, which I'll talk about at the end of our presentation, they had never done a race before, but they had heard about some successful fundraisers that were held in the form of a virtual 5K, and so they decided to do it. And it turned out to be a super good fundraiser for them because there was low overhead. It helped them engage their supporters. They were able to kind of leverage sponsors and help their sponsors, which were all local businesses, kind of get some engagement from the community too. So it's really good to add to your fundraising plan if you haven't ever done a race before. So some features of successful virtual runs, walks, and rides. They're inclusive because you can offer different distances. You can give people the option to report a time or not. If people don't want to report how long it takes them to do a 5K, they don't have to, especially with our virtual results. They're super easy because people are just able to sign up, submit the result during the result submission period. It's a simple They don't have to come out on a certain day. They can add it to their calendar whenever they want to complete your race. So those are two really good reasons for participants. Something else that's important when you're planning your race is having a hook. So really nice swag, something that will be really attention grabbing as you advertise it on your social media or however you advertise, or a fun theme or some kind of like catchphrase along with your race.
Speaking of that, real quick, not to interrupt you, but I just want to tell you a very funny hook that I heard yesterday,
yes.
which was the
good.
COVID bridges of Vermont, which is a very funny. I thought that was covered bridges was a nice pun. And when I was speaking with the race director, they were immensely proud of both the name they came up with and the medal they were able to design to go with it. So finding a hook can be a real fun way to engage and dive deeper.
Especially if you have like that one that you're talking about, the COVID bridges race. They had like a cute little graphic with the bridges and like a little like guy with a mask. So if you have like a designer somehow that can help you with that, it can be really fun to like make a nice cover page and advertise that in social media. For nonprofits, like sometimes it's just linking it to your mission and reminding people of what you do and why they should support you. And it almost becomes like they're donating to you and they get the benefit of, swag or getting to complete a virtual race or whatever it is. So it kind of depends on what you do, but sometimes your cause can be the whole hook. And then also having rewards. So digital bibs, finisher certificates are things that we offer for free as features. But we also help you do, like if you want to do swag rewards, referral rewards, things like that, you can do that on RunSignup, GiveSignup, and you can really reward your participants. So that's something else that a lot of virtual races take advantage of. And then you can make your virtual race interactive, and that will really make it successful because you can help your supporters kind of engage not only with your cause but with each other, which is something that people are missing right now. All right, so now we're going to talk about raising more and engaging supporters everywhere.
Yeah, and one way to raise more on your virtual race is to make sure you're enabling donations and fundraising. And you can enhance your race by turning on simple donations using your own branding. You can also turn on a checkbox to give donors the option to cover the processing fee when offered. That brings the fee down to about 1.9%. Obviously, you have the flexibility with us to choose how that processing fee gets where it gets put. But if you do choose to have it come out of the fee, this gives you a great option. You can also encourage participants to engage their personal networks for support using individual fundraising. So they're reaching out to their Facebook friends, to their friends and family via email, and getting them to support to their individual fundraising page that they create. And if it works for your organization, you have a lot of competitive spirits who support you, you can opt in to using team fundraising. But that's not to be confused with non-fundraising groups and teams. We don't recommend having both those things turned on, as it can get a little confusing. So enabling donations in the race dashboard. So this is at the moment now, as you turn on your race, you do have the option to turn on donations in the race wizard. But if you haven't done that, this is a way to do it after the fact from the race dashboard. So you can turn on donations by going to the donations part of the menu, go down to setup, and then go to general settings. And under general settings, you'll be able to note the start date, the end date. You can note the goal. You can put a description of the charity you're raising funds for or your nonprofit. You can even upload your logo. So there's lots of chances to white label this so it looks like your branding and your charity specific look. And the donor covered fees I mentioned, if you also can, if you haven't, once again, selected that during the wizard, because it is an option you have in the wizard to denote which way you want the processing fee to go. But say, someone else is setting up the account, so you haven't been able to do it afterwards. Here's where you would do it. You would go to, under the dashboard, you go to financial, then pricing, then processing fee type, or you can do my favorite thing to do in the dashboard, which is go to everyone's best friend, the menu search, which lives at the upper left-hand corner and it finds words. And so it makes you look very smart very quickly if you're, if you get a little lost in our robust offering of options on the back end of these races. But yes,
Yeah,
you go
I
to the
always just
processing.
search processing fee to get this.
It's
I had
super
to like
helpful.
look up the tabs to find this yesterday.
To find the actual right. Well, so there's a number of ways. There's many different ways through the woods, as my grandmother always said. I don't know why that was a Red Riding Hood reference, but it was. So anyway, so this is where you can choose the registration processing fees and the registration processing fee, the store processing fee, the donation processing fee. And as you know, that can be paid by the donor or customer or registrant. It can be come out of the fee, or it can be split. And you can even give the options with that checkbox to have a custom prompt that says, cover the fees associated with your registration and make your money go further, or whatever language you choose. And as I mentioned earlier, that does bring the 4% donations processing fee down to an average of about 1.9%, which is awesome. Another great way to encourage folks to donate and donate more is to use donation levels. We are susceptible creatures, so I think it's really good to give folks a suggested level of donation, because sometimes you get there. I've experienced this where you're like, oh, how much should I? What is the right amount? And so if you give them that amount, that lets them know sort of what you're looking for, number one. And you could even go further. You see these blanks where it says level. You could name each level, so it could be silver, bronze, gold. So folks know, the more money you donate, the better it is. And I'll even show an example later of one of our customers who used the levels to actually show folks what that money, that amount of money would actually buy or go towards for their charity, which I think is really fantastic. And the other way is to enable fundraising. And this is how you would do that, enable fundraising in the dashboard, is if you're not doing the menu search, which you could easily do, just type in fundraising. But if you're not doing that, you can go to the dashboard on the left. You can go to fundraising, individual fundraisers, general settings, and that's where you can set up default goals and messaging, so that when someone creates their fundraiser, it already populates with something they could, if they didn't want to personalize it, just move forward pretty quickly with. And the same goes for team fundraising. If that's something that's a fit for your organization, you can turn that on, and team fundraising is right below in the little individual fundraising on the fundraising tab. And fundraising teams, as we mentioned before, are not connected to race groups and teams, and not every fundraising race needs teams. But you can set up team settings, goals, and messaging here as well.
So I'm going to go through some advanced fundraising features. So Chris just pointed out how to turn on donations, and then not every run, walk, ride, virtual run, walk, ride is going to use fundraising at all, but these are all fundraising features that we have that can be super helpful depending on what kind of fundraising your race wants to do. So if you're just doing individual fundraising and you want to keep it simple and maybe just have people be able to connect with Facebook, you have that option, or you can use some of these other features that will help you raise more and help your fundraisers have a great experience. So the first one is fundraising rewards. So you can set up fundraiser refunds, which would basically be, you can offer a refund for registrants so that once they reach a certain threshold or a certain goal for their fundraiser, they actually get a refund of their registration fee. So if somebody paid $25 and they raise $100 for your organization, you could give them some or all of their registration fee back. And you would set that up in our fundraiser rewards tab in the fundraising settings. This is a great way to incentivize your participants to raise more money. And it's also just exciting for fundraisers to be able to get a refund if they raise a certain amount for your organization. So you can also customize how your fundraising page looks. And this would be across the entire race website. So if you want to replace the term fundraiser and put something else in there, one example that I've seen a lot is fundraiser, if you're kind of emphasizing the race part of your virtual 5K or something. But you can also change other things like headings, different menu item placements. So if you want to have like a top team fundraiser tab or something, you can do that. And those settings are all in the fundraising display settings. Fundraiser milestones are also fun because you can set these up and make them almost anything you want. So you can upload badges to go with them. This slide I actually stole straight from Whitney, who's one of our account managers, her presentation that she did for the Winter Symposium. But this is her example of different fundraiser milestones that she has for her like test race. So one of them here, if you raise $50, she's actually setting it up as like a fundraiser swag reward kind of. So if you get to $50, you get a pair of dumbbells. If you get to $100, you get a sweatshirt, and so on. And we have automatically, it'll show stars for your milestones. So if I reach the $50 milestone, I'll get a little star on my fundraising page. And when I reach it and I go back to my fundraising page, I get confetti that kind of like pops up for a few seconds. So that's exciting. And then every time I go back to my fundraising page, it also will show the confetti. So it's really exciting to show fundraisers what their contribution can do. This screenshot I had on the other slide too, but this is a good example of somebody who really personalized their fundraising page. So fundraisers themselves have the ability to add their own text to this story section here. They can upload a slideshow with a bunch of different images of their own. They can share their page to Facebook, and they can also connect it to Facebook, which down here you can see that, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But the fundraising pages look really nice, especially when somebody takes the time to add like a profile image like this person did, or slideshow. So these are all, this list over here are all the things that your fundraisers are able to do or to add to their page to make it look the way they want. And then something else that I really like about our fundraising pages is that the individual fundraiser is able to actually create like a short URL for their page. So if I created a fundraising page, I could make it, as long as this URL is available, I could make it like givesignup.org/Elizabeth, and that would go straight to my fundraising page. So it's super easy to share, to just tell people what your link is to get them to donate. Let me skip a slide. Something else that we offer that not a lot of customers really know about is fundraising emails for fundraisers. So you can set up templates for your fundraisers, and then they're actually able to go in and send out emails to potential donors. So if I had a fundraising page and you had set this up for me as the race director for the race that I'm fundraising for, I could actually go in and send out emails to my friends and family using your email templates that you've created, and ask for donations. So this is also in the fundraising settings under email. And it's a really nice little feature if that's something that your fundraisers would do, maybe over sharing on social media, depending on what your kind of audience or your base is. So that's a good option to know about that I feel like not a lot of people do. And this actually shows you where it is. So it's fundraising and then emails, fundraiser email templates. And then you can actually design them or copy over templates that you already have in your email marketing. This is something that you will hear us talk about incessantly, and I think I answer questions about it every single day. But we have a really great Facebook fundraising integration. So GiveSignup is actually integrated with the Facebook fundraising that you'll see on different nonprofit pages, and you probably have it on your own page if you're a nonprofit on Facebook. So if you're set up with Facebook payments, you are able to connect your Facebook page to your race dashboard, and then your fundraisers will be able to go to their page and they'll have an option that says create your fundraiser on Facebook. It'll also show up right after they register if they create a fundraising page at that time. So if they click that button, then they will create a Facebook fundraiser that matches their GiveSignup fundraising page. And by match, I mean it's synced. So their total in both places is always going to be the same. And you, as the race director, will see those Facebook donations in your reports. So you'll be able to kind of see everything in one place. So this is a really, really great tool. And since we've rolled it out about almost 2 years ago at this point, we've seen so many customers raising more and more because Facebook doesn't charge any fees at all on donations made through Facebook. So if you have fundraisers who are fundraising on GiveSignup and their fundraisers connected to Facebook, any donations that come in through Facebook will be totally free to you. So it's a really great tool to help your fundraisers reach their goals. And that is in here. So if you go to fundraising in your dashboard and then Facebook fundraisers setup, you'll be able to enter your Facebook page ID. So this is basically free money, like I was saying, because there's no processing fee on Facebook donations. It's free for you to set it up. Your fundraisers are able to share their fundraising page on GiveSignup, and they can also share their Facebook fundraiser so they raise more. So Chris and I are going to go through some customer success stories of virtual fundraising 5Ks and other virtual races that we've seen. So I think we have 3 to go through today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first one we're going to talk about is the Sparrow's Nest Superhero Challenge in 5K. Now, this is a combination which sometimes you'll see, which is a challenge which includes a 5K element. Some of them will have the challenge leading up to the 5K being at a specific time. This one allows their participants to do the 5K throughout the whole period of time the challenge is going on. And as Elizabeth mentioned earlier, giving your participants many different options for how they can participate is always a great plan. And it's for the Sparrow's Nest, which is a nonprofit that cooks and delivers food each week to the families of caregivers and children with cancer who reside within a 20-mile radius of their kitchen in Wappingers Falls, New York. I put this up here because I think it's great. It opens today. And Elizabeth, if you go to the next slide, I'll mention why I think it's so cool. They open today and they're nearly at their $40,000 fundraising goal. Now, this is a bit of a bigger event. You know, they have 500 plus participants. But I mean, the fact that it's just starting now and they already are able to be this close to their goal is pretty wonderful. And one of the ways they've upped the ante, I know I keep saying that, but I think it's a great term, is they're using specific levels with tangible monetary values. So those levels we showed you earlier, they use them to say, hey, if you donate $200, that provides homemade meals for one family for 1 month. And $100 provides supplemental groceries to an at-risk family. So really giving people the tangible benefits of donating to your organization is really awesome.
They need to up their goal if they're just starting today.
I bet they will. I have a feeling. I have a feeling. Another way they're doing it is they're encouraging both individual and team fundraising. Now, for their organizations, their constituency is obviously larger, so it makes sense to maybe have that team element in there. And so you've got the individuals fundraising, they're part of a team, and so if an individual receives a donation, it will show up both on their individual page and the team page. Now, but if a team itself receives a donation, it won't show up on, it won't be spread, correct me if I'm wrong, Elizabeth, but it won't be like spread amongst the individuals. It won't show up on anyone's individual page, right?
Correct. So
yes,
the way our fundraising works is everybody gets an individual page, whether or not you're using teams, and then individuals make up a team. So if I donate to an individual, then that donation is going to show on their page and on their team's page if they're part of a team. But if I just make a donation on a team page, it'll just show on the team page. It won't, get split up between the individuals on that team. There's also a setting in the dashboard for fundraising teams that prevents people from donating just to a team. So if you wanted all donations to also be like attributed to an individual fundraiser, you could do it. You would just turn that setting on so that people could only donate to individuals on that team.
That's great. And actually, we had a question that is perfect for right now from somebody who asks, are there people who confuse signing up for a race team but meant to sign up to join the fundraising team? If so, how do we correct it on our end if that happens? And yes, that does happen. I think that's why we recommended that both things don't exist. But but I do believe it's possible in the back end to manage each of those kinds of teams, and you can add and remove people as needed to get them to the right place.
Right. So in general, we don't recommend doing both race groups and teams, which is our general like social teams feature, and fundraising teams. Generally, you want to try to pick one or the other. So maybe that means doing individual fundraising, but not team fundraising, and then you can still have your groups and teams, or just doing fundraising teams, and you might lose out on the team results feature or something, but you get fundraising teams. So from like 90% of cases, do one or the other. But if you do need both for some reason, like in this case, if you're doing a challenge or something and you really need to have team results, you might need to do both. There are ways to sort of loosely link them, but they're not at all the same feature. So there is a high probability of you at some point having somebody like mess up. They signed up for one team and then they signed up for a different team fundraiser. So talk to your account manager if you don't have one already. You can email info@GiveSignup and we'll help you sort it out if you're setting up a race. But generally, try to stick to one or the other.
Yeah. The more you know. Sorry, I'm not gonna say. It's our PSA for the day.
Chris always has to sing at least once in every webinar. So
it's my gift.
So this is the race that I was talking about at the beginning. So Downtown Greens is a small nonprofit in Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is where I live. And I also went to college here. And when I was in college, I interned with this organization. So they're like a urban green space, and they do a bunch of different programs, mostly around food security. So they have a community garden that's like take what you need, and they do a bunch of other like food security and like food justice programming with children and adults in Fredericksburg. So I love them a lot. And at the beginning of this year, they asked me about doing a fundraiser that was a virtual 5K because they knew I worked for GiveSignup. So they did it. It was March 1st to 14th, and they were super successful for a first-time race. They overachieved their registration goal. They thought they were going to get 150 people, but they got 189 by the end of the race. And I think over half of those people actually signed up after the race started. So it started on March 1st, but they had been taking registrations before that, but they got almost half of their people between March 1st and 14th when it ended. So that's another thing to take away, especially if you're a nonprofit. I think if you keep advertising your race once it starts, if you're doing a virtual race or a challenge, you'll get more and more signups as people are seeing their friends doing it. And if you're sharing it a lot on Facebook or wherever people are seeing you, that's a really good way to get more registrants and also more money. So they also Downtown Greens raised over $2,000 in additional donations, so on top of registration fees. So that was people clicking the donate button on their website, either before or after they registered or instead of registering, or adding an additional donation as they registered, like using those donation levels that Chris pointed out on the Sparrow's Nest. I set up donation levels for Downtown Greens, so that helped, I think, get additional donations as people were going through and registering. And then they used a bunch of other free tools that we have. They set up a nice cover page. They used web check-in to hand out swag because they had I think it was 20 different volunteers in total who were handling packet pickup essentially over the 2 weeks. So they used web check-in to kind of streamline that and make sure that people were getting their swag and people weren't getting it twice or not getting it at all. They also used teams. So they did not use fundraising teams, but they used social teams to kind of market the race. So they actually offered an exclusive swag item for that. If you joined a team, you got a magnet, like a card magnet. And they also had a staff team. So people who either used to work there or currently work there were all on one team. And then they had some sponsor teams. So they were able to kind of use that to get additional registration too. They also use the sponsor platform really well because they really put a big focus on their sponsors. They did a whole sponsor promotional video at the beginning of the race, and then they had all the sponsor logos on their website. And they had them on all of their emails. They used our free email marketing to email out updates throughout the 2 weeks. So they really did a good job of using a bunch of our features in their first year. And next year they're planning on doing the race again, and they're going to do it hybrid. So they'll have an in-person race at their it's a garden, so they're going to start and end at the garden. But they'll also have a virtual race so that they can get people from out of state or people who can't come out or won't come out for a real 5K, but who want to still support them or make a $25 or $30 donation or something. And so this
also they've got a great hook as well, which is stop and smell the sneakers. Which
yeah, so this is their office. So they're right downtown in Fredericksburg. So they have like a good location. So they set this banner up so that when you finished and started the race, you were like in front of this banner. So they got people taking selfies of this, which kind of promoted the race too. So that was a good idea. It was a virtual race, but everybody was kind of going to the same place because they knew about this banner. So they were able to kind of have some like organic marketing happening from that. And then they also had really good swag, like this little bag over here. It's like a reusable grocery bag, tote bag kind of thing. And it's super cute. Mm-hmm. They did a really good job of designing swag that people would really want. And a lot of people that I know just signed up just to get the swag and didn't necessarily care about running the race. So
hey.
They did a great job in that respect. And then our last virtual race example is the Iris Run for Refugees. This is a bigger race. So Chris's race is kind of like medium size, mine is small. This is a pretty big race. So typically they have, I think in 2020, before the pandemic, they had like 3,000 people sign up. In 2021, they did it virtually, but they had significantly fewer participants in their, I think it was January of this year, or yeah, January into February. They had significantly fewer participants, but they raised more in donations. So they raised $98,000 this year, as compared to about $81,000 in 2020 in donations, with only a little more than half the participants. So they did a really good job of pushing donations. And we found that for a lot of virtual races, you will do really well in donations because people want to give right now, especially when they've been feeling kind of disconnected for about a year. So you can really push that and make a lot of additional money just on donations to your fundraising race. They also used something else that Iris did is they used fundraising refunds, which I pointed out in a little earlier, for top fundraisers. So people who raised over a certain amount got some money back. And they also gave out different prizes for different fundraising levels. So you could get a refund or you could get, you know, a certain swag item or something if you got to a certain level. So they had fundraising and they did really well in donations because of that. So
now I'll just tell you how you can get. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is the slide we didn't decide who was going to say anything.
I can't see you, Chris, because I'm sharing my screen.
Oh, I see. I'm so sorry. Well, we want to tell you how you can get started free. If you've got a RunSignup account already, you can go to runsignup.com. You can go to GiveSignup.org for these specific tools. And you can click Get Started Free. You can create where we'll offer you to create a ticket event, to create a donation website, a donation form, or you can even create your run, walk, or ride there. If you're looking for more information, you can request a demo or schedule a call. Or if you're here right now and we're about to do a little bit of a Q&A, we can answer those questions. I think I've got 2 lined up I can answer at the moment. Let me see. So the first one that had come up, we're at Q&A, right? Did I skip a slide?
Yeah.
just making sure I didn't.
No, I was just flashing on my clicking.
Yo, you're fine. Oh my goodness, you're totally fine. So the question was, if you utilize the Facebook and RunSignup integration, are the donations deposited to the nonprofit via Facebook or RunSignup? And correct me if I'm wrong, Elizabeth, but I believe they're deposited through Facebook, which is why they can be charged that 0% Facebook processing fee. Because if it wasn't charged through us, we would charge you, as is our business model. That's how we do it. So it's through Facebook so that you receive those funds.
Yes. Donations made on Facebook get paid out by Facebook. And then donations made on RunSignup or GiveSignup are paid out by us.
Correct. And then maybe you can field this one since you deal with the backend a little bit more than I do. But does this program provide the option of downloading an Excel report with a breakdown of funds raised per fundraising team?
Yes. So we have a report for almost everything, especially on the donations and fundraising side. But yes, you could pull a team report for your fundraising that would show, number of fundraisers on the team, total amount raised, pretty much anything you wanted. And that would be in your fundraising tab and then fundraising reports.
Great, 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 great. And now someone is asking, where do you add the free digital bibs and finisher certificates? Do you have
Do you want to?
a race you could show that one?
Yeah. Let me out of this. 1 second.
You're good. You're good.
My little escape thing. I have the like touchpad and it just doesn't work sometimes.
You
That
know,
side of my touchpad.
if everything were perfect, there would be nothing to strive for, right?
Yeah, sure. So this is a fake race. This is my test challenge, but so I mean you can go sign up for it because it's free, but I think I have bibs on here. So race day tools and then bibs is where you'll see the digital bib option. It used to be somewhere else, but it's here now. So you can, let's see, I'll show this in a second, but you have two options. So we have a template that you can use that gives you a couple different like basic backgrounds, and you can kind of drag and drop what you want on it. So if you want like the participant's name, the event name, things like that, you can put that on there. Or if you just want sponsors, whatever you want, you can add to our template, or you can upload if you have an image that you want to use, or like a graphic that you made, you can upload it and we give you the right size here. And then this is the one that I have. So I made this image in Canva and then I just added the number and the person's name to it. So then when I actually
go to this long to bring up Canva. I can't believe it took us this long to bring up Canva.
I know, this is a record. We're
so
like
much.
40 minutes in. Use canva.com. I'm going to pull it up right now. We don't get paid to promote them, but they're in every single one of our webinars. This is canva.com. You can add, you can like upload images and like create graphics in here. Life-changing.
And you can create graphics based on very specific dimensions that we're often are given as examples of what you can upload here, which is super helpful.
Yes, yeah, you would create like, so for finisher certificates and digital bids, it's 775 by 600. And so it'll give you a graphic that size and you can put whatever you want on there, or you use one of their templates and it's free.
Great.
Finisher certificates are pretty much the same. They're under race day tools, results, customized finisher certificates, or you can search it in the menu like I just did. And it's the same thing. You can use one of our templates, or you can create your own using the same image that you used for your bib if you want. And the only real difference between the two is that the finisher certificate is only available once you submit your result. So it's going to have things like you can have their time or their distance or whatever if it's a challenge showing on there, as opposed to like what you would have on a bib, which is like name and number. So that's where that is. And this finisher certificate will be available on their results page. So they won't, like I said, they won't be able to see it until they submit their results. But
well, great. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good stopping point. I want to thank Elizabeth for doing this with me. This was a lot of fun today. We hope you had a informative, fun experience. If you have questions, you can always reach out to us by info@givesignup.org or chris@givesignup.org. We're happy to chat. And we hope you have a great rest of your day.
bye, everybody.
Bye.